and all the other bits and pieces and on our YouTube channel. So if you don't want your faces shown, then you're more than welcome to turn your video cameras off. We won't be upset or feel offended if you do that, but as I said, it will be recorded. So on behalf of Baldwin's Travel, our directors, Nick, Chris, Ron and Sally, we'd like to welcome you to this our wonderful presentation this morning. One of the few places I've not been, and I am so itching to get there, so I'm as interested as everybody else to see what is on offer. So we're going to have a really interesting little presentation this morning. Good friend of ours, we've known him for a long time, and he's a great partner to Baldwin's Travel along with Carrier. And get involved with pretty much most things that we have done in the past, and hopefully that relationship carries on in the future when we get back to doing live events, which hopefully will be sooner rather than later. So welcome each and every one of you. I'm going to hand you over to Raj, who's going to take you through the presentation this morning, and I'll be back after the presentation for any questions you might have. So over to Raj, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Trevor, and thank you so much for having myself and Carrier present a little bit about Africa today. And today I've been joined with my colleague, Amanda Bailey, who is our product manager for Carrier, but has been with us for many, many years, and also was our reservation manager for Africa and Europe for many, many years. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about Carrier, about myself, and also into Africa and what to expect. Some of you may have been to Africa, some of you may not, and this is really just to show you what Carrier's all about and what we can offer here to this particular part of the world. Currently, as you know, in Africa there is no opportunity to travel there. However, we will tell you a little bit later on how people are traveling and how people are booking for Africa either later this year or into 2022 and into 2023. So why Africa? For me, Africa has been part of my DNA for many, many years. And for those who have been to Africa, you will know that you either fall in love with it or you just want to explore part of the world that is a part of your bucket list. And Africa is one of those parts of the world that when you get there, you are drawn in by many, many aspects, whether it be the winelands, whether it be the coastlines, whether it be safari. But the main thing that people are very much into for Africa is the safari. There is a lot more to Africa, which I'll explain as you go along. This is myself. I've been very fortunate to have traveled extensively throughout Africa, through South Africa and East Africa, and the experience that you gain is and the sights that you see is very much what really draws you back time and time again. And hopefully this little clip I'm just about to show you is really what draws me back to Africa time and time again. So here's a little clip of why I go back here as often as I can. Firstly, it's about the wildlife, you know, whether it be the elephants or the tree climbing lions in East Africa, or the hippos, or as you can experience, the wonderful sights that you can have with giraffes and other wildlife. This is what Africa's about. However, there is many other aspects that you can see in Africa. And this is one of my little experiences that I had not so long ago. This was taken on my iPhone about 2.5 years ago. And the part that really amazes me is the look on the faces of the people behind, you know, in front of me. And when you get as close as that to the wildlife, it is phenomenal. Now, this experience in Uganda is something very unique, and it's not for everyone, but it's something that is very much on people's bucket list. And we can talk about this a little bit later on. You can ask questions of how that experience definitely works. But it's one of the reasons why, for me, Africa is an absolute draw in terms of what we do. In terms of Carrier, we're very fortunate. We started off as a travel agency in just over 40 years ago, offering luxury tailor-made holidays to the world. And one of the key things that we looked at was continuing that effort. And we had many travel agents coming to the owners at the time saying, can you put holidays together for our customers to go to Africa? And that's how we started. We soon expanded to become a luxury tour operator, offering luxury tailor-made holidays to destinations all over the world. And the main thing is that we work with travel agents throughout the UK. In your particular case, it's Baldwin's Travel throughout the Kent area. And the main thing that we work with is the independent agents. They have real personal knowledge about what you want, what you're looking for in a holiday, and we will help them to put a holiday together for you, whether it be to Africa or other parts of the world that we feature, which we can talk about a little bit later on. In terms of today, what I wanted to talk about is where we're really going to be talking about, which is very much around East Africa and South Africa. Africa, in terms of what other countries we offer within Africa, we have Namibia, we have Botswana, we've got Zimbabwe. In East Africa, you have the likes of Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, you've got Rwanda, and then you've got other areas like of Mozambique, which is very much has been on the map for travel for the last few years. And aside from that, there are many other destinations people combine to go to Africa. So if you're going from South Africa, a lot of people combine to go towards either Mauritius or Seychelles. If you're going from East Africa, they tend to combine that to places like Zanzibar and the islands around that coastline. So there are very much aspects of Africa that a lot of people know. There's also parts of Africa that you don't know, and hopefully that's something I'm going to share with you today. For Carrier, we're very much about tailor-making each and every inquiry, and it's very bespoke to you. It's not about what we can do as a standard product. It's very much about curating the holiday of what you're looking for, and that's what we do. And we very much look at every single property. And being a luxury operator, we do use some of the luxury chain hotels, but Africa is very much about some of the smaller boutique hotels, some of the individual family-run properties, and that's what really draws people back to Africa time and time again. In addition to this, we're very much about providing unique experiences and privileged access to some of the places that you can go to. But in addition to that, it's very much about the local connections, the people that we're connecting with you on a local level that allows you to make your holiday the way you want it to be. Some of the areas that not many people are very familiar with when you're talking about holidays, and in particular in terms about Africa as well, is that there's certain things that we're becoming more and more conscious about. Sustainability is one of them, and it's very much about how we travel, how we go there, what we do, the experiences that we have on the ground, and making sure it's very much about being conscious about the environment and the host countries that we're going to. In addition to that, we're seeing a lot more people veering towards self-improvement, even when they are out on safari. It's nice when you go back and you think, you know, I've had a hard day safari, I want to have a bit of a spa treatment. That's really nice. However, it's all about encompassing yourself with the new cultures and the skills that they can provide, building connections whilst you're there. And in what we're seeing more and more of is families traveling together. And for families, whether you're luxury, high-end, or even the mid-market, it's not about putting them into kids clubs, and families aren't 2+2 anymore. They can be very much like me. There's me, my wife, and my son. So there's families of 3, there's families of 5, but it's very much what can we offer them? And hopefully I'll be able to show you today some of the things that we can do on the ground for you and your families as well. And we're seeing more multi-generational families traveling together as well. And the other thing that I mentioned earlier is very much about independent luxury. We do use a large chains, as I mentioned before, but we are very much about sourcing smaller, more independent boutique properties that really focus on providing that authentic experience and service as well. I just want to talk to you a little bit about sustainability, and I'll have my colleague Amanda join me on this particular part as well over the next few slides. And it's very much about understanding what sustainability means to you, but also to what it means for a luxury tour operator like Carrier. For us, destinations are very much looking at how they can be more environmentally sound to what they're looking to do for sustainability, economic reasons, and also for social reasons. Here's an example of a lodge which is very much in South Africa. It's north of Johannesburg, and it's called Lepogo Lodges in Nokkekamp in what they call the Waterberg region. And this is completely off the grid, so it's completely self-sustaining, and it has its. You can see the trail of solar panels there that really power this lodge and the camp, and it completely is very much about neutralizing the guest carbon footprint. But one of the things that the people are very much conscious about when they go into Africa is how they can travel, and we have access to all the lodges that we would have within our portfolio going throughout South Africa, but also it's very much about the experience that we want to have. And when you go to South Africa, it's about seeing the big five, or East Africa, it's about seeing the big five, but it's very much also about seeing how we can do that consciously as well. We also have the Barana Reserve in East Africa. And Amanda, if I could ask you to sort of join in here. Barana Reserve is located in the north part of Africa, and they have a wonderful rhino sanctuary here. Is that correct, Amanda?
That's correct. So the Barana Conservancy joined with Lewa Conservancy and they took down their fences. So it's Africa's biggest success for rhino conservation. So they started with 25 rhinos about 5 or 6 years ago, and then they've managed to now they have over 200 black and white rhinos. So it really is somewhere exceptionally special and dedicated to sustainability and conservation. And part of the experience here is that guests get to go out with the trackers, and as part of their daily routine, they go out in the morning to track the rhinos and they count them all in. And then in the evening, they have the opportunity to go out with the park rangers as well on patrol, go to different viewpoints. So it's very much engaging with the people on the ground. It's very immersive to what they are doing in this area as well. And most of all, it has been a success for these beautiful animals.
Thank you, Amanda. And I think the other thing in the Barana Reserve a lot of people don't realize is the lodges and the camps around here, again, are very much about sustainability, and they've got these huge solar panels in there, very tastefully done, and they've been put into the area, again, very much self-serving to that community. And I think this is the thing that we don't realize. There are a lot of Africa is converting this way, utilizing natural energy to be able to power the homes and the lodges and things like that in these regions. And I think when you look at East Africa, South Africa, and other parts of Africa, they're very much looking at this way. And would you agree with that, Amanda? This is something that you're seeing more and more of. As a product manager, you're seeing more of this happening within other parts of Africa as well.
We've always known that at the heart of the African lodges and the owners that sustainability and conservation is key, but they really have developed this up to, such an amazing level that this solar plant in the Barana Conservancy powers all of the properties there. So all of the private houses and the lodge that's there get all their electricity from here as well. They built recycling plants. So it's a fully functional conservancy.
Excellent. And I think alongside that, we mentioned about self-improvement and well-being, and these sort of things are going together, especially for Africa, is that people are looking at saying, how can I go to destinations where, and certainly right now with when Africa does open up, there's going to be an opportunity for you to really have that privacy and seclusion, but also really take part in things that are very much down to what you want to do. And I think in South Africa, going back down here, you've got Londolozi, and here you've got the this beautiful home, which is, and I would say Londolozi is very much they were pioneers in safari, but they've taken this to a step further, where you've got the healing house here, and here you can take part in photography, you can do yoga, you can get into other aspects of the region. It's built up onto a granite area, and there's a riverbed that's going by. So you're very much in a conservancy, but also within that conservancy, you've got this lovely, unique area. And that really bodes well for how people are looking to travel in Africa, is to say, I want that privacy, but I also want to have that full game drive experience. And most people who go on game drives usually are doing them between 3 and 5 nights. Amanda, would you agree that's what you're seeing, whether it be South Africa, East Africa? Most people who go and do a game drive, they do them between 3 and 5 nights?
They do, and what we're seeing more in the sort of the upcoming business that we have is that people are actually wanting to stay longer in one place or explore different areas. So somewhere like the Borana Conservancy works well with the Masai Mara, because you can do your game viewing in the Mara, and then you can have the slow safari up in the Borana Conservancy and do the conservation elements as well.
Excellent. And I think continuing on that, the wellness side of things as well, when you've got places like Element House, where one of the things that we may have learned throughout this whole lockdown period is that there are certain things that are very important to us, and sleep is one of them. And Element House offer this lovely thing, which is a sleep ritual, where they look at your whole sleep pattern and make sure that they look after you and make sure that you get that proper deep sleep, which I have to say, as I'm getting older, I'm getting less and less of, and my teenage son is probably driving us around a little bit more to say, we need to go from here to here. But in addition to that, I think one of the things that you learn about these things is, as you, when you look at the well-being and self-improvement side of things, people are looking at saying, how can I do this on a more conscious level? And certainly Element House offers this this facility when you go out there. And Amanda just mentioned this a little bit more about just a moment ago about families, and how in the likes of the Maasai and places like that, there are things that people are traveling to and they are wanting to do more with families. And certainly, whether you go to South Africa or East Africa or other parts of Africa, there are so many places that have programs based around children and multi-generational families traveling together. So whether you go to a malaria-free zone like Kwandwe in South Africa, where you can participate in local activities as well as supporting local communities, there is so many adventurous things that you can do with children. Likewise, when you go to one and only Cape Town, they can take part in a sushi masterclass with one of the top chefs at Nobu in Cape Town. And then one of my favorite areas in the Winelands, you've got the likes of Babelstoren, where you can really immerse yourself in some wonderful experiences for children, and they can take part in the day-to-day running of a farm as well, if that's what they wish to do. There's so many things that we can do, and I think the important thing is that these experiences that we can do, it's very much you talking to the team at Baldwin's Travel and saying, look, what can I do with my family? What can I do as a couple? What can I do as a multi-generational family traveling together that can really allow us to take our holiday to a wonderful lifetime experience that is unforgettable? So tell your consultant that you deal with at Baldwin's Travel as much information as you can, so we can really help you, help them to deliver this wonderful holidays for you and your families. Amanda, you mentioned about the Masai Mara, and this is the Masai warrior class or the camp that they can take part in. Is that correct?
It is. So we know that safaris open up a whole new world for all of us, but for children, and children are the future of conservation as well. So it's great to see that this is at Cotter's Camp in Kenya, where they have the Maasai Warrior School. So the children can participate in all of the activities. They get to go out with the guides, and as you can see in the bottom right hand corner, they learn about how the plants can be used for medicinal purpose, and that everything in the bush has its use as well. And they have the opportunity to go out on walking safaris as well with them. So it's extremely immersive, and they learn about how they can help with the conservation efforts as well in those areas.
And then you've got the likes of trying to think of the gentleman's name now, Derek Joubert. Sorry, I was just looking at my notes there. It was Derek Joubert. He was very much part of this region as well, wasn't he, Amanda?
He is. So he's the founder of Great Plains, who have numerous safari camps across Africa, but he's also a renowned National Geographic photographer and filmmaker, and has grown up in the bush as well. So having been a child in this environment, he has now created the Young Explorers program within some of his camps in Africa, which are very engaging. They give them the packs on arrival for the children. They get to learn about astronomy. They get to track the animal footprint. So it's much more than a children's club. It's very much making them the future of conservation.
Thank you, Amanda. And I think when you look at Africa generally, there is so much that we can do, not only as couples or individuals or as families. There is so much that we can do. And again, this is where, if you when you're planning your holidays for Africa going ahead into 2022 and 2023, please ensure that you impart to your consultant at Baldwin's Travel what things are important to you besides the safari that you'd like to get out of the holiday. And I think we mentioned this earlier, is that although Carrier is very much a luxury operator, and luxury in its all intents and purposes insinuates beautiful big branded hotels, and when you go out to the likes of Africa, there aren't the ones that you would expect to be. There are the ones that you would expect to be there, but there are so many more lovely small independent luxury properties out there. Here's an example of one, which is the Brookdale Estate, and here you've got a wonderful manor house, which is you can book out exclusive use. The great thing here is that the experienced management team, Yvonne and Gary, are the people who look after you here. Now, Yvonne and Gary were the management team for Sol Kerzner. Now, Sol Kerzner is a name that you may or may not be familiar with. In our industry, Sol Kerzner was the founder of Atlantis Hotels, but also One and Only. And they were his personal assistants to him, and they bring many, many years worth of experience to this wonderful private estate. And this is based up in not far from Paarl, up in that main wineland region that you would go to in South Africa. But one of the other things that you find is that someone like Kiara Scott is really if you are a wine lover, she is really setting the world alight. She's very young. Amanda, I believe she's 28 or 27, 28 years old. And she's really taken the world by storm for sommeliers around the world, isn't she?
She is. So she's the youngest female winemaker, which is quite an achievement as well for somebody of her age. And their Chenin Blanc is certainly a wine to look out for as well, if you ever come across it. But the beautiful thing is here that you can spend time with Kiara on the estate, blend your own wine. If Chenin Blanc isn't your type, they'll create a special wine for you as well, which you get to take home.
And I tell you what, if you've never experienced blending your own wine, it is a wonderful experience. I've done it in a couple of parts of the world. And when you try and blend different wines, different grapes together, you soon realize what you like and what you don't like. And it's amazing how they do that. So it's one of these experiences that you really want to do, and this is where you can do it in small independent properties. Coming back up into in towards Kenya and East Africa, you've got a place here. Now you can't see it. It's called Arajuju, and it's very much hidden amongst the plains. So unless you are really looking out for it, you really don't notice it. And Amanda, this is one of the ones that we've just recently introduced, haven't we, as part of our portfolio?
It is, it's new, so it's an exclusive use house that, again, it's in the Borana Conservancy, but it was very much built to blend in with its natural environment, which is remarkable because you sort of taken to this entrance and then welcomed into the most fantastic home, all built out of stone. It's got Ethiopian roots, so based around an old monastery style build, but very new, and it's actually a wellness retreat as well. So as part of the rates, you have wellness packages included. They get 5 hours of spa or yoga meditation on the decks as well, but this house is just for your client's use.
And I think this is what some people are looking for. And do you know what, I think the other part that we want to really stress is we have these beautiful properties that we can offer you, but we also have the ones that if I just go back, would be amongst the plains. You know, we safaried, both Amanda and I have safaried throughout Kenya, and you'll see homes within the plains and lodges within the plains. And so we are catering for different markets, but if you are looking for that sort of exclusivity, this is Arajuju is one of them. But then you've also got this one here, which is it's called Lengushu, and Lengushu is a 6-bedroomed lodge home, again its own plain regions as well. And you know, some people are looking for these type of things, and if you want that type of property where it really gives you that exclusivity, you can have that. And I think on Lengushu and their estate up in the Borana Reserve, you can see the type of situation they have here. The thing that you can do here as well is you can go out on the private safaris on their jeeps, but also here you can go out and do horseback riding and do various other activities that are more personal to you and what you're looking to do. And one of my, I think the highlights of what you could do here is, this may look familiar, but if I said to you, imagine Lion King. Now, Lion King, this is their inspiration for that famous scene that you see in Lion King. And here you can either do one or two things. You can either take a trek up to here and have a private dinner up here, or you could do sundowners here. But the other thing you can do is there are different ways of getting here, and it's not just about trekking. You could be at one of the local lodges and maybe take a short journey up to here. So it's very much down to what you're looking for. And I think when you come to Africa, the smaller the detail that you can tell Baldwin's Travel in terms of what you're looking for on your holiday, we can match that to the style of property that you want to do, as well as the experience that you want to have. So if you are looking for, when you're finished the end of the day, you'd like to sit on your porch or somewhere on your at your room with a glass of wine or just a gin and tonic, whatever you like, then there are particular types of properties that will suit you, and the destination will suit you as well. Whereas if you'd like to be with groups of people, it's very important to let one of the consultants know at Baldwin's Travel that that's what you're looking for. If you like to be with people where you share your experiences of your viewings on the day, then we can match the properties that will suit you and your liking. And I think the other thing that you look at is, like I said before, it's the experiences that you want. And this is what creates the memories. It's the memories that we hold on to and we share with our families as if they're looking to go to different places. And I think, again, I've been very fortunate to have done a couple of these regions. And when you think about families, if you're looking at your own experiences, there are places that people ask us about and say, can I go from the beach to the bush to wildlife and doing Big 5 safari in South Africa? There are places that you can do that, Again, it's just knowing what your liking is, and this is the Oceana Beach and Wildlife Reserve. I've been also very fortunate to do the blue train from Pretoria down to Cape Town. I've not done the one over to Kruger National Park. That will be a wonderful experience. But when you do that 1 night, 2 day journey, it's absolutely spectacular. And you come through and you're coming from what I would call the countryside to the city, and it's a lovely experience. Whereas if you want something with a room with a view, and I'll show you something else in a little while, you can go to the Ngala Treehouse in Kruger National Park. Now, Amanda, the Ngala Treehouse in Kruger National Park, is that the one that's near the border of bordering on towards Zimbabwe and Botswana? Am I about in that right region?
Up in that area, it's a little bit sort of further away from them than it actually looks, but Madikwe is the closest to border into Botswana, so Kruger's the other side. But I mean, this is a new tree house, so you would stay at the camp, so you stay at Ngala camp, and then you would have a sleep out overnight in here. You can have dinner under the stars as well, and it's your own personal space there. It's away from the main lodge, but there is somebody around, so you're not completely isolated in here.
And I think that's quite important to know, is when you want these sort of experiences, you can have them depending on what you're looking for. Talking about experiences, how about having dinner with Crystal Brand, who was a prisoner, who one of the people who was with Nelson Mandela. And when you can learn about the stories and insights of someone like Nelson Mandela, it's a wonderful experience. Many people do go out to Robben Island and take that journey from Cape Point over to Robben Island. But I think having something like this, we talked about local connections, we talked about having a wonderful, unique experience. These are the type of things that help you to really make your holiday another experience. And again, if you have more active travelers or younger travelers, or people who want to do a little bit more activity, there is also other experiences that we can do and make them very bespoke and authentic to what you're very much looking for. And this is something that we've managed to get together with you. We can, this lady is a surf champion, 8-time surf champion. And what they do is they not only tell you the stories, but they can also take you out surfing. And these are the type of things that some people are wanting to do when they are in South Africa. And these are the things that we can connect you with. But there are other people who can take you to local areas where you can find local artisan ice cream makers, coffee shops, and places like that. And again, it's getting in with people that know these areas that you wouldn't normally find on your tourist trail. And I think this is what places like Africa is about, is finding those places that aren't necessarily on the tourist trail. Now, I want to show you something that many people don't realize can be done. And this is something where it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Money is no object. This is the type of thing that some people are doing. And you may not realize that is out there, but here's something that really will blow your mind. Now, how about taking a 24-hour trip on a private jet from South Africa into Antarctica? That's right, Antarctica, going all the way into Antarctica. Amanda, it's a 5-hour journey by private jet from South Africa into Antarctica, and then doing the experience?
That's correct, yeah.
Excellent. And then you have your on-land experience, and then you would come back into South Africa. There are people who wanted to do this. Instead of taking the journey down into South America and then doing that boat journey onto Antarctica, there are things like this you can do. Amanda, this is the helicopter ride that you can take up in the Sagata Valley. Is that right, up in Kenya?
It is. It's the Sagata Valley in northern Kenya. So it's one of the most extreme and diverse landscapes as well. So you can go from hidden valleys to the sand dunes to the rivers and the lakes. So really you have everything within one day.
It's amazing, isn't it, what you can do in one day? And this is what people don't realize. There's so much more to just safari that you can do in Africa that a lot of people don't realize. You can even, if you wish to, and I promise you this is all working, and this is in part of the Cotters Camp. You can take an old vintage Rolls-Royce, 1930s vintage Rolls-Royce on safari. And again, this is, some people want to really step back in time and have a really authentic experience. But the guides here on Cotters Camp are amazing. And Amanda, I think this is somewhere that you've been to as well, is that right?
It is, and it's a very special place because the Cotters Camp, they have over 100 years of safari experience, and they're now in their 5th generation. So for people that truly embody the safari family, then Cotters Camp is unique to that. And you know, it's one of the nice experiences that they've just introduced recently as well.
Yeah, and I think this is the type of thing that people are wanting to do, and really get out there and see things in a different way. And then the final thing, you know, this is one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is out there. This is called the Bird's Nest. Again, this is in Kenya, and this is one where you are pretty much sleeping amongst the wildlife. This is your own personal camp. Again, you'll have somebody there who will look after you, but this is your place. And it's one of the things that people look at and say, what can I do that's unique? A lovely experience that I can do that would really blow my mind and really have a wonderful experience. And it's one of the things that people are looking for, so we can deliver on certain things like this. So Amanda, thank you very much indeed for your time today. Thank you everybody who's joined us today. For Carrier and Baldwins, you know, we've been in partnership for many, many years. One of the things that we really enjoy together, as Trevor mentioned right at the beginning, is that we are very much here to look after you and your needs. Everything that you're looking for, we will do through Baldwins Travel. One thing that I would strongly recommend is when you're looking at Africa itself, Africa is a place where people are wanting to go to, and you know, plan ahead. You know, we are recommending to plan ahead. I'm just going to stop sharing at this point, and I'm going to open up for questions. But before I do, Amanda, I wanted to ask you a question which I know a lot of people have been asking, especially for Africa, is when do you think Africa is likely to open up, and where do you feel that will open up first?
We're expecting to see that Africa will open up from October onwards, so very late departures into the end of this year. Potentially Kenya could open up first, a little bit sooner than South Africa. Their numbers are very low in Kenya. Yep. They've been vaccinating all of their tourism staff as well. Mm-hmm. So they've just come out of their lockdown. They've dealt with the situation very well, but it has sort of put them behind a little bit because they had gone ahead and then they went back. So reasonably we'd expect October before we see any travel back into Africa on a scale.
Interesting. And I think alongside that, we've had a number of people who've maybe curtailed their travel from maybe 2020 into 2021, now into 2022. Would you say that a lot of the lodges and places that we're working with are beginning to have limited spaces going into 2022 and into 2023?
We do. We can already see from the reservations that we're trying to change from 21 into 22 that availability is becoming an issue over peak dates. Yeah. And any of the inquiries that we're having in predominantly sort of for September 22 already. So yeah. If you are, Africa's always been a destination you need to book 12 to 18 months in advance, but especially with people postponing this year, it's made the demand very high.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Trevor, I think you're very familiar with Carrier's booking policies and everything. We introduced something that we're very clear on, and I think we've handled ourselves tremendously well throughout this whole pandemic. We're one of the first companies who followed what we classify in our industry as the package travel regulations. We followed all of that and made sure that the clients' monies were returned as quickly as possible. We were also recognized by Which as a company that you should consider when you're booking through the likes of Baldwins Travel to have your holiday planned with. So one of the things that we introduced early part of this year was we introduced a bespoke booking conditions And the bespoke booking conditions are very much down to each individual customer. And the booking conditions are very much tailored to your holiday and not everybody else's holiday. Whereas traditionally, most tour operators would have had it, including carrier, would have had the same booking conditions for everyone. We're bespoking them for each and every inquiry and customer that we make. And so when it comes to making an inquiry with Trevor or anybody at the Baldwin's travel team, you will find that we will always give them all the detail in terms of the deposits, the balance due date, and the dates, the final time you can either cancel or amend the holidays. So I think that's been very important for you and your product region, hasn't it, Amanda?
It has, and that's customer services at the heart of everything that we do. So we pride ourselves that we can offer the flexibility, that we go above and beyond to make sure that if clients are wanting to move their holidays, that we do everything within our control that we can to get those changed for them.
Brilliant. Thank you, man. Trevor, I don't know if you have any questions on our side for carrier or anyone.
We've not had any questions put through, but everybody feel free to put any questions you want for Raj and Amanda. While you're doing that, I wrote a couple of things down. I was so pleased that you covered in big part the sustainability, which is obviously key on everybody's minds at the moment. I don't know if you or any of the people on here saw a program on Apple TV with David Attenborough, The Year That Changed the World. It was such an eye-opener for someone who sells travel. It was such an eye-opener for the balance between tourism and the planet. There was a special which for Africa is especially significant. They did a section on the cheetahs, about how the breeding with the cheetahs this year has been the best it's been for 20, 25 years. And it's 100% down to the fact that tourists haven't been there. They haven't had the safari vans going up and down. And they went through the part where when the mother does a kill, she does this little squeal. And so the cubs know where she is because the kill is too big for her to take back the cubs. So the cubs have to find her. And with the tourists there, they can't hear her over the noise of the vans. So that it's a fact. If you get a chance to see it, it was absolutely fantastic. Covered the entire world. But I was wondering, with the pandemic and the well, by the time we come out of it, probably 18 months of no tourism, what the resorts and the areas are going to learn from this year, because obviously it's also very clear how important the tourist pound is to the local economy, but then it's the tourist pound versus the tourist footprint. Are we looking at that balance? Have we got it right in the past? And what are we doing to sort of like really make the most of both of it? Because obviously the local economies rely so much on the tourist pound, but then the tourists are ruining the local economy for the future. So what's in place?
Well, I think, Amanda, I'll let you answer part of that. I know from our perspective, I tend to work with the likes of Trevor and the agents around the UK. And what we're hearing is that the clients are looking to travel more consciously, and they're looking at saying, wherever we go, we want to make sure that we are leaving a good footprint rather than a bad footprint. And that's what they're looking at. They're looking at traveling more consciously. Amanda, I know we've talked about this in the past. How would you sort of best answer that question for Trevor?
I think a lot of the African lodges over the past year, because they haven't had clients staying with there, they've really engaged with the local communities. They've stepped up their efforts as well to do everything within their powers to make them more sustainable. We know that travel now is more about regenerative travel, so leaving somewhere better than you found it. So how can we build that into a lot of properties and lodges? And we're seeing that coming through, much more and more. but they've really looked after their local communities as well during the period. A lot of the lodges have kept their staff on and then use them for the benefits. So they've got gardens, so they're making sure it's all farm to table. That then provides jobs for the locals as well. Everything is sourced within the region. So there's sort of the small things that then will build up to the larger scale as well going forward. And we have seen the introduction of electric vehicles as well. So Cheetah Plains in Sabi Sands, they have fully electric vehicles. So again, for that noise, that we'll see that. There's Kedra Lodge in Botswana. They are just in the progress of introducing them as well. So that's something that's going to be a thing of the future as well.
That's
It's amazing, isn't it? What's happening out there?
I don't suppose we can convert the vintage Rolls Royce to electric, can we?
That would be interesting.
Anybody out there? I mean, it's been absolutely fascinating and fantastic for you to run through that. Have any of you got a question? Unmute yourself if you've got a question to ask Raj or Amanda. Anybody, or we covered everything?
I was going to say, I know Steve put in there that he was in the Bwindi in Uganda. That is amazing, and that's where I was fortunate to go. I think, Amanda, you went there as well. Is that right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, it's a wonderful experience, and I certainly would say if you've never been to Uganda or Rwanda to see the gorillas, it is an amazing experience, and it certainly is. It really is on that top of my bucket list to go back to East Africa and do Rwanda this time. So it's certainly one place to go.
Yes, it's on my list. I've not been, and it's on my list to do, quite high up the top, actually. If there's no questions, I'm going to thank you. I've got one more question off of the Africa subject. Now that we're pretty much coming to the end, obviously, Amanda, you're hopeful that Africa is going to start up October time, when we've got our fingers crossed that yes, we're going to get that. But with what we're looking at, I know Carrier doesn't just do Africa. You do literally all over the world: Europe, Indian Ocean, Caribbean, literally you name it, you go there. So as a company, Carrier, what are you expecting to be the first go-to places? Let's do a Europe. What are you expecting with Europe, and what are you expecting with long haul tropical?
Very good question. So I'm going to answer that in sort of a couple of parts. So what we anticipate is, as with the government traffic light system, we do anticipate that the short haul destinations will open up first, and then long haul, mid and long haul international destinations open up later. That's what we anticipate. That's what we perceive to happen. With Carrier, as you mentioned, Trevor, we cover pretty much everywhere around the world, from Europe to Caribbean, Indian Ocean, Arabia, Far East Australasia, North America, and Canada. And we do a vast amount, whether it be hotels or villas or cruise. We cover a whole gambit of product. But what we do anticipate is we'll see Europe opening up in small pockets initially, and then we'll see more and more destinations coming on board. What we do recommend, if you are looking to, if you've not had a holiday for 18 months, 2 years, and you are desperate to get away, is go to the likes of Baldwin's Travel. They know the operators that they can go to give the right advice and to put you in the right properties, who have the right COVID protocols, they have the right ethos in their business, and they will look after you. And there might be smaller touches that you might want to consider to make your journey smoother, in terms of getting to the airport, having the airport experience, and then the other side as well. So it's very, very much interesting to ensure that you go through each aspect of your holiday, but make sure you book it with professionals who know what they're doing. And Amanda, I know you used to be reservations manager for Europe for a number of years. Is there anything that you think that we should be considering for the guests here today?
in terms of the destinations opening up, then it will be a smaller majority that open up from the 17th of May, and then we will see June, July that more destinations are added to that list. But the great thing is that we do have the flexibility with our partners and with the airlines as well. So what we can do is, if we did make a reservation for you for this summer, we give it sort of the ultimate flexibility up until the point where you can change it or potentially have a refund as well. Europe's a bit trickier because of low cost flights, but that's where we tend to use the airlines we know that we can get much more flexibility with as well. And that's what the team will talk you through. They know all of the entry requirements as well, and what the conditions are, so we can make sure that we find the perfect package for you.
Absolutely. And I think it's imperative, Trevor, you're right there, that for the guests who are looking at this today or after this event, that please ensure that you look at every aspect of the holiday. And this is where using a professional travel agent, independent agent like Baldwin's Travel, will help you to get your holiday that you're looking for, especially throughout the next few months.
Okay, I think, unless there's any other questions, I think Steve, absolutely fantastic. Saying you took your youth group out to Uganda to renovate and to build a clinic, and you've been there 7 times. Absolutely fantastic. I'm so pleased that Baldwin's were able to help you, and hopefully things like that will be happening again soon. Both leisure travel, business travel, and obviously the travel that goes and does so much good work around the world. And we see on the news, we don't need to highlight it, there's countries which are suffering that are nowhere near nowhere near at the level that Europe and other countries are. And as I said, when we come out of this, I think our help with rebuilding and getting those communities back up and running is going to be essential. So absolutely fantastic, and hopefully we can start doing that again soon. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed it. I know we have not been a big crowd, but it's quality, not quantity. That's what they say, isn't it? If you've got any friends who you talked about this and they would like to see it and everything, and go over the bits and pieces that we've done, this will be uploaded at some point. Give us a week or so. It'll be uploaded on our Facebook, on our YouTube TV channel. So that will be done in about a week or so. So you can go back and have a look at this again. I'd like to thank Raj and Amanda, and of course Carrier, for organising this with us today. And I'll leave it to Raj and Amanda to say their cheerios. From me, thank you, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Trevor, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you everyone for your time today.